Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to welcome you to the Austrian Federal Ministry of European and International Affairs in Vienna. I would like to introduce Their Excellencies Minister Tomáš Petříček, Czech Republic, Minister Péter Szijjártó, Hungary, Minister Ivan Korčok, Republic of Slovakia, and Minister Anže Logar, Republic of Slovenia, and Alexander Schallenberg, Republic of Austria. Herr Bundesminister, bitte.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really pleased to welcome all of you, fellow colleagues from the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, and Hungary here in Vienna. This is a truly Central European meeting, actually. The first, I would say, at least for me, the first ministerial meeting of this size in the last 3 months. And I'm actually really happy to see you once in 3D. I got used to see you in 2D on the video screen, but now I'm happy to see you in persona. And I believe if the COVID-19 crisis has taught us anything, then it is that neighborhood really matters. Since the outbreak of the crisis, we have established a continuous and very regular exchange via video conferences and telephone calls, and this has proven to be a real asset. It has given us the possibility to face this unique challenge, unique in the sense that it was really a global challenge, together. We helped each other, we brought back our citizens from abroad. For Austria, it was the biggest repatriation mission we ever had, and I believe it's probably the same for all of you. We managed to diminish the negative consequences and the painful consequences of closing our borders or having checks at the borders to a minimum, and to make sure that our borders remain open, at least for goods, for commuters, for seasonal workers and other things. The crisis has proven how interlinked we are, how we need each other economically, politically and socially, how many people are actually living across borders, have their family on the other side of the border, and used to have this open Schengen space in Central Europe. And that's why I'm so happy to welcome you all in Vienna. We are still keeping our social distance, but we are here together because it's a sign of appreciation of the positive and result-oriented cooperation we have managed to have in the last couple of weeks. And it's also a signal, from my perspective at least, that we wish to take along this positive momentum. They wish to continue in this positive kind of spirit of neighborhoodship, I would call it, among us, because we all know that the pandemic is not yet over. Globally seen, we are still in the midst of this crisis. We have to maintain our vigilance, and we have to maintain our regular exchanges, because if one thing is sure, we all are united with one aim. We want to avoid to have again to witness a lockdown on our borders, to reinstall controls in the coming weeks. And on the other side, there's something which will keep us all busy in the future, is the post-corona diplomacy. It remains to be seen what it will be like, but from my perspective, some features of what we have developed in the last couple of weeks has been positive, and among them is these video conferences we had nearly every morning, Tomáš and Péter smiling at me, and Anže and Ivan through the screen. So these are things which we should keep up, which we should continue on a regular basis, even after the post-corona time. So for me, this is a sign of a culture of neighborhood and neighborhoodship, the Kunst der guten Nachbarschaft, you would call it in German. And again, to all of you, thank you for the tremendous cooperation, for this good neighborly and trustworthy and open cooperation, and thank you for being here and welcome to Vienna.
Thank you. Minister Petříček, please.
Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here in Vienna and to finally meet my colleagues in person. Thank you, Alexander, for this wonderful initiative and for inviting us. Last 3 months have proven that good neighborhood relations, good neighborhood in Central Europe is very important. We all experienced that exactly the cooperation with our neighbors and in the broader region of Central Europe really works. As Alexander mentioned, our regular video and phone calls became a very efficient tool for exchange of views and news, for sharing experience and best practices, and for coordination of all measures related to our borders that have affected dozens of thousands of our citizens. I would like to, however, raise also the very good experience of successful cooperation in repatriation of our citizens. Due to our cooperation, we have managed to get back from very distant places of our planet hundreds, even thousands of our citizens back home safely, and I think this is a tangible proof of our good relations and fruitful Central European cooperation during the previous months. I also highly appreciate that our close contacts enable us to work hard hand in hand in taking all the measures that can allow for successful easing of the restrictions. We have been the region that was one of the first to start discussing how to get back to normal. And I would like to join Alexander in stressing the fact that we need to discuss much more, and we need to cooperate much more in the post-coronavirus world. We will face enormous challenges in terms of social and economic impacts of the crisis, and here I believe that we all share interest in kicking start our economies, in arranging for employment to stay high, and we Central Europeans have been always responsible, and we would like to promote this approach in Europe as well. Last but not least, in this context, we would welcome the widest possible exchange of information on how our countries intend to cope with possible risk in the future. I believe that we can learn from each other in order to prevent that any future crisis will have lesser impact on our societies. Thank you once again, and thank you very much for invitation.
Thank you. Minister Szijjártó.
Thank you very much, lieber Alexander. Ja, vielen Dank für die Einladung. Das ist unsere Ehre, hier in Wien, endlich hier in Wien zu sein. Persönlich. Thank you so much for the invitation. I want to make three very short points. First is that the Central European countries, especially those ones who are now represented today, have managed the first stage of protecting ourselves from the coronavirus successfully. And one of the reasons why we proved to be successful was our strong cooperation. When it comes to helping each other with protective equipments, when it comes to allowing people to commute, when it comes to ensuring the cargo traffic to flow without or almost without obstacles, and when it comes to repatriation. Of course, I want to thank all four of my colleagues, since all four countries have contributed to the success of our repatriation missions. I really appreciate that. Second point, that these challenges during the corona time have strengthened our cooperation further. Solidarity and mutual respect, and taking into account the interest of the others. These were the key principles of our cooperation. So cooperation between these five countries became much stronger during the crisis. And my third point is that as we concluded the first stage of protecting ourselves from coronavirus from healthcare perspective, now we have to start to protect ourselves from the impacts of the virus when it comes to the economic perspective. Because the coronavirus does not only endanger the lives and the health situation of the people, but the jobs as well. And now we have to work together on the economic field, because I think we should not set a smaller or more modest target that we want to or we should make our economies and our companies stronger in the post-crisis period than they were before. Economically speaking, we have all the chances to become stronger in the post-corona time than we were in the pre-corona time. I joined the Austrian initiative, and I cherish it, that the European Union, the European Commission, should abolish the upper limit of state aid to investments in our countries. Under current situation, the only way to protect the jobs and to create new ones is through supporting investments. And now I think European Union should allow its member states to use their own national budgetary resources to finance investments without limitation. This is the time. And it's unacceptable that the European Commission was not able to make a decision on that for the last 1.5 months. We have initiated to abolish the 800,000 euros as an upper limit, and there's no decision. 1.5 months under such circumstances when speed matters. So I think our economic cooperation should be further developed. We should be allowed to support investments. I'm happy to say that we support Austrian investments in Hungary, taking advantage about the fact that we can do it up to 800,000 euros, but we would be happy to do it even further, because these companies give or create jobs for the Hungarian people. So I welcome really the opportunity, dear Alexander, that we can be here together, finally personally, not the video. And once again, I want to appreciate the invitation to you, and I want to appreciate the cooperation to the 3 other colleagues, which I have experienced during these very challenging times. It was really nice and made us happy to feel the solidarity among the countries of ours. Thank you. Vielen Dank.
Thank you. Minister Korčok.
Ja, vielen Dank. Ich wollte mich auch dafür bedanken, dass du uns heute hier nach Wien eingeladen hast. Eigentlich habe ich mich die ganze Woche darauf gerichtet, dass ich Deutsch spreche, aber wie ich merke, in Wien funktioniert das nicht mehr.
Wir sind Polyglott.
Deswegen, ja, ihr seid Polyglott, das schon, aber ich wollte ein bisschen mein Deutsch üben, sonst geht's verloren. Gut, auf Englisch. I have 4 points, Peter had 3.
Yeah,
so the first,
very normal, very normal.
I want to beat you on that number. So the first one is on a personal note. Alexander, my dear Austrian colleague, mentioned that we have managed to repatriate thousands of people who we needed to bring home. I want to thank you and the Austrian government because you repatriated me personally. I was in March, at the end of March, I was still ambassador of Slovakia to the United States. It was impossible for me, when I was nominated to become a foreign minister, to get out from the United States and to participate in a sworn-in ceremony. But you had a great ambassador in Washington, and he told me, we have a last repatriation flight flying out from Washington to Vienna. I was on board of it. And then Alexander was the first minister whom I have thanked for that. Had it not been Austrian government, I would not be foreign minister.
You wouldn't be standing here.
So that's right. Number 2, I don't want to repeat what Alexander has said so eloquently, and other colleagues have joined him in that. Die Nachbarschaft zählt. We've seen what it means, that the neighborhood matters. It was your leadership, Alexander. You were one of us who kept on initiating our constant exchange. There were days when I was twice with you on phone, with Peter, with Tomáš, when we really had to coordinate what we are doing domestically, but above all across the border, because we felt a pressure from our citizens to make sure that there is some mobility across the border when it was entirely closed for the goods, for the essential stuff, for pendlars, commuters, and the rest. So really, this crisis has taught us very clearly what it means to be good neighbors. Number 3, I'm still representing a new Slovak government, which has been in office for less than 90 days now. But I want to use this opportunity and to tell you, Alexander, and an Austrian audience, that I'll do my best to continue the excellent cooperation that we are having bilaterally. Austria is the 2nd largest investor in Slovakia. Thousands of jobs on both sides in Slovakia and Austria depend on trade. It's 7 billion per year. in trade that really help our economies, and it is my firm resolve and determination to contribute to this good relationship. And number 4, I think we have managed in a way this crisis when it comes to how to protect our citizens, the health, because that was the precedence. Das hatte den Vorrang, unsere Bürger zu schützen. Now at this moment, however, the challenge is how to cope with the economic consequence of the crisis. Therefore, I am very happy to continue our cooperation, because the challenge will be right now to find an economic response. Let me say that in Slovakia we don't see any other alternative but to find a common European response. It's going to be very difficult to negotiate the next financial perspective and the recovery fund. There are diverging views, but we have only one chance to help recover entire European economy. Therefore, in Slovakia, we will not be only looking what will stay in the Slovak envelope, how much money we get, but whether we are able to come up with the solution for the entire European economy. Then the Slovak economy will recover as well. Dear Alexander, many thanks to you for inviting us, and I'm more than happy to continue this, be it in video formats or even better in person. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Logar.
Thank you. My predecessor asked how to help the economy. Well, I have a concrete proposal, at least for the Slovenian economy. Please come to spend vacation in Slovenia. You're more than welcome. At least you 4, you will help our economy in the tourist sector. There were difficult times we went through. We went through together. In Slovenia, we were the first EU member state to call off epidemic. So we call it at the end of the May COVID-free country, which was possible due to the sacrifice of our fellow citizens that followed our instructions, so the measures that the government adopted, and as well that adopted the closure of our borders among us. And I think this is a very important European message, that even though we protected our citizens and we closed our border, we were still able to cooperate. We were still on a daily basis phoning each other, having audio-video conference, and trying to find a solution for the things that pop out with our measures and could be solved only with the dialogue with our neighboring country. I think it's a big success. It's a big success as well because we were tasting the waters. In a way, we were establishing a new protocol in, let's say, neighborhood relations. We were on our own. We had to find a solution on our own, and we did it. So I think this is a success, and standing here among friends, I think is a big success of the diplomacy, as well a good foundation for further cooperation. Well, I had more or less the same experience as my Slovak colleague. Well, I was not in the United States, I was in a parliament, but I sworn on the 13th of March, what was the first day of our epidemic in Slovenia. So I was concretely thrown into the waters, and I was, trying to swim in saving our fellow citizens with their problems. I must admit that this is my first foreign visit, official foreign visit in Austria. Let's say Alexander is so fond of audio-video conferences. Well, I have enough of them. It's like, watching Zahar cake through window. I would rather taste it than just watch it. So I think in-person meetings are very important in diplomacy, and I look forward for further cooperation. I think there are more things that unite us in this part of the world than divide us, and I look forward that we will cooperate in those important things that will help, as I said, our fellow citizens to live good life in future.
Thank you very much. So we have time for some short questions.
v.l.n.r from the Austrian television. Did you really gain a new definition of neighborhood after these 3 months of lockdown? And second question, how does the new freedom of travel go together with the current travel warnings? Und bitte antworten Sie auf Deutsch.
Okay. Ich glaube, dass die Krise sehr wohl den Blick geschärft hat für die Nachbarschaft. Es war klar, dass wir diese unmittelbare Zusammenarbeit gebraucht haben. Natürlich nicht nur mit den hier stehenden Ministern, sondern natürlich auch mit Italien, der Schweiz und Deutschland. Ich werde auch morgen in die Schweiz fahren. Es ist für mich einfach ein Signal, dass wir doch in dieser Krise sehr eng zusammengearbeitet haben, sehr gut zusammengearbeitet haben. Und ich würde dieses Momentum auch gerne in die Post-Corona-Phase mitnehmen, was ja auch die Kollegen angesprochen haben. Und ich glaube, dass wir jetzt vielleicht mehr als sonst gemerkt haben, wie verbunden wir sind mit unseren Nachbarn. Menschlich, sozial, wirtschaftlich und auch politisch, dass wir eigentlich als ein Staat mit der zweitgrößten Dichte an Nachbarn, wir haben 8 Nachbarstaaten, hier auch als Exportnation diese Zusammenarbeit dringend brauchen. Und ich bin daher froh, dass dieses Treffen als Signal heute stattfindet und dass wir dieses Momentum auch in die Zukunft tragen werden. Ihre zweite Frage betreffend, sorry by the way, I was asked to answer in German. Ihre zweite Frage betreffend Reisefreiheit und Reisehinweise. Nun, was das Außenministerium gesagt hat, ist, dass er weiterhin für den Globus, für die Welt, ein hohes Sicherheitsrisiko sehen. Das ist der Reisehinweis, sozusagen die Stufe 4. Das ist keine Reisewarnung, sondern es ist ein Hinweis. Einfach deswegen, weil man sich einfach bewusst sein muss, dass ein Restrisiko immer noch vorhanden ist, wenn man ins Ausland fährt. Und wir alle haben im März erfahren oder erfahren müssen, dass innerhalb von 24 Stunden Grenzen geschlossen werden können. Flughäfen den Betrieb einstellen können, Fährendienste den Betrieb einstellen können. Und natürlich, wenn man in so einer Situation dann im Ausland ist und erst Grenzen überwinden müsste, um nach Hause zu kommen, ist das ganz anderes, als wenn man sich innerhalb Österreichs befindet. Daher natürlich diese Warnung. Und wir sehen ja selber, die UNO-Weltgesundheitsorganisation hat erst letztes Wochenende bekannt gegeben, dass die größte Anzahl an Zunahme an Covid-19-Erkrankten weltweit zu beobachten war. Das heißt, wir sind noch lange nicht über dem Berg und müssen das einfach anerkennen. Das ist nein, wir konnten Grenzen öffnen, das war auch wichtig und gut, genauso wie wir auch innerstaatlich die Restriktionen aufgehoben haben, schrittweise. Das heißt aber einfach den Hinweis, bitte Obacht, 2020 ist nicht ein normaler Urlaubssommer, das ist anders als in den letzten Jahren und man muss ein gewisses Mindestmaß an Sicherheit oder an Vorbereitung auch an den Tag legen, weil es ein Maß an sozusagen Risiko gibt, das nicht zu leugnen ist und das einfach weiterhin da ist. Dennoch, Gott sei Dank, die Grenzen geöffnet.
Herzlichen Dank. Frau Schwager, bitte.
My question goes to all of you, I guess. In case of a second wave, now you all emphasized the good relations, or even that they improved. Can you guarantee, or what will you do to prevent closing the borders again?
I will leave that to you, I guess.
I wish I knew. It's not in our hands. There's a lot of hands in foreign ministers, but not everything. Everything will depend on the epidemiological situation, and here I want to support very strongly what Alexander has said. When it comes to reopening borders, you cannot go from 0 to 100 or a big bang, so to say, globally. We in Slovakia, similarly like in Austria, are assessing on a daily basis the development in the respective countries, and very carefully I will looking at them individually, which of them we add on the green map that we have established in Slovakia. Compared to Austria, we still have only 19 countries where we have a free mobility compared to 31 in Austria. But Alexander is absolutely right. You cannot communicate to your citizens, now you're free and you can travel wherever you can. Is it safe at this moment to say that you can travel across the Atlantic to the United States? It's not. So we are struggling with the same challenge, how to communicate on the one hand that step by step we are removing limitations, but the world as such is not yet safe. And I believe this is part of the answer, how to do our utmost to prevent second wave from coming, because it's not excluded.
If I may add, I think I agree with Ivan. We cannot guarantee anything at the moment what will be in a half year. However, 3 months ago, we were facing a situation we never experienced before, and we took measures that were logical. We closed the borders. We have more or less locked down our societies in order to gain time, in order to prevent that the disease spread too fast, that our health systems can cope with it. But in the meantime, we have learned our lessons. We have developed new tools. We have smart tools, smart applications, how to be more prepared for possible second wave. And it makes me more confident that when, I hope it will not happen, but in case it will, that we will not get back to general nationwide measures like we had to do 3 months ago. So I believe that we are now better prepared. We know what we are fighting. We know what we are facing, and that may allow us to prevent such a widespread restrictive measures as it was the case in March.
Well, there's an important issue that we already have now established legislative proposals that gives opportunity to adopt certain measures. We know which measures are functioning, so bear results. We know how important it is to be cautious and to react immediately when there's a show of second outburst. And we have a communication channel that offers us exchange data. So we are much better prepared than we were before. And we as well know how terrible this disease is, this virus is. And we know that we have to do our utmost to prevent the second outburst happens. So we are, in a way, better armored, and it depends now on us how successful we'll be with adopting measure. And as well, it depends on our fellow citizens, how cautious they will remain until the vaccine is developed. So I think we all have the same message to our fellow citizens, that remain cautious, enjoy life, but at the same time be aware to avoid, let's say, moves that would spread the virus across.
On our side, we continue to purchase the protective equipments, including masks, ventilators, and protective clothes, in order to be prepared if the second wave comes. And if we are prepared when it comes to protective clothing and protective equipment, then we can afford to implement a, let's say, more modest level of restrictive measures.
Can I add one point which came to my mind here? What is, I think, very important at this moment is the European kind of coordination. And I think it was yesterday when the Commission has come up with a proposal how to deal with the third states. Because one has to realize you can do a lot, you can coordinate up to 100% within the European Union. But if one country reopens, decides unilaterally to reopen basically the entry into European Union from outside, then you are basically opening it globally. And therefore I support very much basically the Commission's proposal or attempt, not the proposal as such, but the attempt to coordinate access from the third countries. That's, I think, key when we want to limit the risk for a possible second wave.
I think we have time for one last short question.
I would like to ask Mr. Schallenberg, is there any restrictions, return restrictions for Portugal? when we can go there in July, and how is the outlook for Spain? And please, if you can, as in German.
In German.
Come on. Okay, my apologies.
Ja, come on.
Ich kann es übersetzen für dich.
Genau, auf Österreichisch. Wir haben ja beschließen können, dass wir öffnen. Vor 2 Wochen haben wir den ersten Schritt gemacht gegenüber den unmittelbaren Nachbarn und letzte Woche gegenüber dem weiteren EU- und EWR-Bereich. Momentan ist die Situation so, dass wir gegenüber allen europäischen Staaten offen sind, mit 4 Ausnahmen. Das ist Portugal, Spanien, Schweden und Großbritannien und eine Region, nämlich die Lombardei. Das ist eine Entscheidung, die nicht alleine hier im Außenministerium getroffen wurde, wie überhaupt in der ganzen Phase, wir besonders eng mit dem Innenministerium, mit der EU-Ministerin, im Bundeskanzleramt und dem Gesundheitsminister zusammengearbeitet. Genauso erfolgte es in diesem Fall. Wir haben damals auch gesagt, dass wir das in regelmäßigen Abständen evaluieren. Der nächste sozusagen Zeitpunkt wäre dann im Hinblick auf den 1. Juli. Ich habe jetzt sehr wohl wahrgenommen, dass Spanien erklärt hat, dass sie schon eine Woche früher aufmachen. Das wird gerade zwischen den Experten diskutiert, auch im Gesundheitsministerium. Ich bin aber nicht zuversichtlich, dass wir sehr bald weitere Öffnungsschritte machen können. Und sicher die größten Fragezeichen innerhalb Europas, wenn ich jetzt an ganze Staaten denke, das ist noch Schweden und das ist Großbritannien, würde ich sagen, aus meiner Warte. Aber ich glaube, vielleicht noch in Ergänzung zur Frage, die ich am Anfang bekommen habe, es waren einige wichtige Sachen, die gesagt wurden. Sondern der Satz, the world is not safe, der Planet ist noch nicht sicher fürs Reisen. Die Pandemie ist global einfach noch da. Wir stecken noch in dieser Krise und daher auch vom Außenministerium weiterhin, und ich glaube, auch hier haben wir einen ähnlichen Zugang, auch wenn jedes Land andere Regeln hat, was Reisehinweise und Reisewarnungen betrifft. Wir sagen, ja, wir machen die Grenzen auf, aber bitte mit Vorsicht damit umzugehen, bitte mit Hausverstand und Eigenverantwortung, daher weiterhin unser Reisehinweis, dass es global ein hohes Sicherheitsrisiko gibt. Das ist kein Widerspruch, sondern es ist einfach ein Hinweis darauf, dass wir noch mitten in dieser Pandemie stecken. Und das muss man wahrnehmen und das muss jeder sozusagen wissen, wenn er beschließt, die Landesgrenzen zu überschreiten und ins Ausland zu fahren. Wir haben das ja auch jetzt gehört wieder. Wir wollen natürlich eine Situation verhindern, wo wir wieder Grenzen zumachen müssen. Wir sind sicher auch besser vorbereitet. Wir waren das erste Mal sozusagen gewissermaßen, das ist das erste Mal eine Pandemie gewesen auf diesem europäischen Kontinent. Das ist auch der große Unterschied zwischen uns und Südkorea zum Beispiel oder andere asiatische Gesellschaften, wo Politik und Gesellschaft einfach diese Erfahrungswerte hatten. Wir hatten es nicht. Wir wollen das natürlich verhindern nach Möglichkeit, dass wir wieder einen Lockdown machen müssen und daher hängt sehr viel jetzt ab in den nächsten Monaten, sowohl was die innerstaatlichen Lockerungen betrifft, als auch die offenen Grenzen, wie die Menschen damit umgehen und wie verantwortungsbewusst sie damit umgehen. Und das ist in Wirklichkeit die Botschaft, um die es hier geht. Danke.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask you to stay seated until the ministers have left the room. Thank you so much.